We're so excited to have you with us, Delaney McKinley. She's the Vice President of Membership Marketing and Events for the Michigan Manufacturers Association, such a vital part of Michigan's economy. Delaney, thank you for being with us.
Thanks so much, Ronnie. Thanks for that fantastic introduction.
When we think about Michigan, manufacturing really has been the backbone of our economy. But we do know over the past decade or so, we've lost so many manufacturing jobs. Where do things stand now as far as the outlook of bringing manufacturing back to the state of Michigan?
Absolutely. And as mentioned, manufacturing is a critical part of our past and will continue to be critical to our future and the success of our country, of our state. Manufacturing has actually grown significantly in the last decade or so. Not only has manufacturing grown nationally, but Michigan has been in the top of job growth over all other sectors, all other states in the last 10 years. We're really proud of that. Certainly the pandemic has been very challenging, but we know that we are seeing increased orders, increased production, and we're really excited about the future.
So right now we have so many people in the middle of the pandemic, these companies, even prior to the pandemic, a workforce and a skilled workforce was a challenge. Where do things stand in that regard here in the state of Michigan? Because we know our elected leaders right now are starting to push to get more skilled workers for manufacturers.
Absolutely. The number one issue that we heard from our members, the number one challenge that they had prior to the pandemic, during the pandemic, and I'm sure continuing after, is talent. Having the right people with the right skills available to fill the jobs that they have. Certainly, there's a demographic issue with the aging of our workforce. There's also issues that have been presented by the pandemic when we've got, childcare issues, when there's virtual schooling, perhaps some hesitancy about in-person work. So we know that our members continue to contend with these. And look to address the innovations that are necessary to bring our culture forward in the future.
Yeah, because when we think about this, a lot of manufacturing jobs can't be performed remotely. So that is another hurdle that some of the companies have to overcome.
Absolutely. Manufacturing production is an in-person endeavor. While some jobs can be done remotely, not all of them can. So it's something that we're working to support the industry with to make sure that there's a recognition for that, but to also recognize that there's support for that.
We're talking with Delaney McKinley. She's the Vice President of Membership Marketing and Events for the Michigan Manufacturers Association. I was online earlier today checking out your website, and I will say there are so many of these companies in our own neighborhoods that we don't even know exist.
You're exactly right. That's one of the biggest challenges that we see that the industry has, is that they are the most impactful industry in our state. They're in every single community. They're offering high wage jobs with rich benefits. But unfortunately, there's a lot of misunderstanding about what those jobs are like and what the industry is about. So one of the things that the Michigan Manufacturers does is work to support that, to provide a greater awareness of not only the industry, but also the careers that they provide.
Because you look at this and the technology has changed so much over the past 20, 25 years. You really need to have skills to be able to work in some of these positions.
You're absolutely right. There's this misconception that it's dark, dirty, dangerous to work in manufacturing, but it could not be farther from the truth. We're talking about high-tech jobs, high-wage jobs with great benefits, and we're working to get the word out about that.
So with that, Delaney, how do you do that? Because we have been in such this cycle of pushing four-year degrees and college degrees on students. And so some of these manufacturing jobs went to the wayside because of that messaging. How do you realign that messaging?
Well, it's a tough challenge, and we're trying to tackle it on a number of different fronts. One of that is working with the legislature, looking at our high school graduation requirements and talking to state officials and asking them, is this something that allows for recognition of the importance of skilled trades education, career and technical education? Do we have the flexibility there that allows students to explore these other alternatives and gain skills that could help them enter a manufacturing career? We're also working in communities directly with students to support an awareness of the kind of careers that are available, not just students, teachers, counselors, but also parents, so that they know if their child comes home and says, hey, I want to be a welder or I want to be a CNC operator, that the parents say, hey, that's a really great choice. How can I support you in that? We're also doing a number of different things broadly amongst the public to confront some of those misconceptions. One of the fun ways that we do that is we do an annual awards. I know your prior speaker was talking about awards, but we also have an awards program. Part of that awards program is the competition for the coolest thing made in Michigan, which has been a really fun endeavor that's brought a lot of attention to the billions of products that are made in Michigan every day.
I think so many people in the public would be completely surprised at some of these products. Give us a few.
Absolutely. When looking at the 2020 Coolest Thing Made in Michigan top 10 finalists, there are a number of things from yummy ice cream that's made in Hudsonville. We've got things that help support humankind through personal positioning technologies made in Bay City. Really fun entertainment things like skis that are made in Boyne City, boats that are made in Manistee, heartwarming things like the puppy warmer incubator that's made in Battle Creek. Ultimately, in 2020, who was chosen as the coolest thing made in Michigan, it's a product that sustains all of our electronics and solar-powered products. It's something that's become even more of a focus in the last year, with more people being dependent on their computers, their phones, other electronics. So the ultra-pure polysilicon that's produced by Hemlock Semiconductor Operations did take home the 2020 Coolest Thing Made in Michigan award.
That's awesome. I know we're going to be speaking with the senior vice president right after our interview, so I'm looking forward to hearing from him. And so with that, we do have a big push right now. With the pandemic, we have our state legislators that are pushing for a community college and trying to entice some of the people and the adults here within the state of Michigan to go back to school, to take advantage of the program and the education, free education right now for some of them. How do you think that's going to impact the manufacturing economy in a year or two?
Yeah, there have been a number of programs that have been created in the last couple of years that are very supportive of growing manufacturing talent, whether that is creating new skills for new individuals to enter the industry or upskilling those that are already in the industry. Michigan Reconnect, a free community college program that will allow even incumbent workers to upskill, go back to college, and certainly Futures for Frontliners. These are both programs that we were very supportive of, and as were our members, and hoping and recognizing the contributions that frontliners have made. Manufacturers were some of the first to come back and have been working to keep our globe operating. We are very supportive of those. We're also very supportive of the Going Pro Talent Fund, which can be used for community college or short-term training. Those are all things that really support the expansion of skills within manufacturing.
Delaney McKinley with us here on the MegaCast. She's with the Michigan Manufacturers Association. Tell us more about your association and the work that you do.
Sure, absolutely. The Michigan Manufacturers Association is the only statewide advocate and solutions provider, and we're fighting exclusively for Michigan's manufacturing community. We work every day here in Lansing to secure a prosperous future for Michigan manufacturers. We do that through effective advocacy at the state capitol and meaningful education and strategic business services. We represent nearly 1,700 manufacturers across the state, and in some cases, those are small mom and pop shops, but it also includes the iconic global corporations that we're all familiar with.
So do you think it's hard to get the messaging out for some of these companies? Because for some, they're making parts that go into other parts, so it's kind of hard to get a marketing brand around them.
You're right. There's been a lot of focus on business to business marketing, thinking about how are they keeping their business going. But I think a lot of our manufacturers are looking at some broader awareness and marketing techniques to get to that talent gap and the issue that they have in attracting talent. So they are looking at some awareness issues. Manufacturers have always been very, very invested in their communities. But now with some of the tools that are available through social media, other digital marketing means, they are looking for those opportunities to try and overcome some of those misconceptions that seem to be so deeply ingrained.
Delaney McKinley with us here on the Mega Cast. She's the Vice President of Membership Marketing and Events for Michigan Manufacturers Association. Just another minute or two here with you on the show. How are some of the companies doing throughout this past year in the pandemic?
I have been in awe of our member companies. I worked for MMA for about 11 years, and my very favorite thing about working here is our members. The industry is really inspiring. They are the number one problem solvers and innovators that we have in our culture and have been for generations. And they stayed true to that expectation through this crisis. They never stopped. They continued to look for solutions. They found ways to produce things to support their talent, to support their local communities. We, in fact, developed a video to acknowledge and to thank our members for the work that they did. It's been really awe-inspiring. There's still challenges that remain, but they are tackling them and really prospering and looking to grow even more in the future.
Well, if anything, we do know that in the middle of this pandemic, especially at the beginning of the crisis, it really did highlight how we have been sending our manufacturing and buying things overseas. And so there is a big push to bring it back to America. So hopefully that's going to be the silver lining that comes out of this crisis. Delaney, how can people find out more information about your association before we say goodbye?
Great, thanks so much. I would encourage you to check out mimfg.org for lots of information about us, to access that video that I mentioned before. And feel free to contact me directly if you've got any questions.
Delaney, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Ronnie. It's been a pleasure.